Welcome to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and Franchise Focus is all about talking with experts in the franchising space and also talking about owners in the franchising world so we can hear their story about what led them into this industry. And today with me, I have Chyvonne Shackelford-Bacon, who is the owner of a Mosquito Hunters franchise in the Philadelphia area. And welcome, Chyvonne.
Thank you for having me.
Very happy to have you, Chyvonne. It is springtime. Everything is blooming and the world is coming back anew. And we're going to talk about what mosquitoes have to play in that role of wanting to be outside and how you make it better for everybody, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk first about, I always like to hear the backstory of how people, where were they before franchising grabbed hold of you, and then you ended up coming into this world. So talk about that.
I actually, out of college, I went to work for a well-known pharmaceutical company that I actually had done summer internships with, and ended up working with them full-time after graduation. And I was there for 16 years and had a wonderful experience and learned a lot. However, due to some organizational changes and layoffs, my position was impacted. And a part of the package that was offered to me was to work with a career services company. And that career services company, to my surprise, had 3 different tracks that a person could choose from. One was to re-enter corporate. The second was to retire, and unfortunately I did not qualify for that. I know you can't tell by my girlish charm, but
you are far from that, Chyvonne.
But I did not qualify for retirement, and entrepreneurship was the third track. So I said, okay, I had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, and I said, I'm gonna look into that a little more. And there was a workshop with a franchise consultant that I continued having conversations with after the workshop, and that's how I ended up with Mosquito Hunters.
Isn't that such a crazy, I love that. I love everything about that, because had they not offered that to you, you might not have had any thought. You would have just kept going around into the corporate world. But here you were like, I have this itch and they can help me to figure out a little bit more about it. And you also had already some business ownership experience in that your sister owned so you already had some experience with business ownership and having your own. So your sister has a business. What kind of business is that?
A spa and salon in Philadelphia. Right. And yes, I worked closely, her and I worked closely together, but that was, for me, like you said, a part-time situation. Exactly.
Right, side business. So you already had a little bit of a toe already dipped in there.
Yes.
But you didn't have your own concept. You didn't have your own thing, And then that's what franchising is great for, because then someone else has this concept. So I'm sure they showed you several different concepts. What made you choose pest control? What, tell me that.
Very random, very random. I even surprised the franchise consultant that I was working with. So part of the process was to take a skills and personality assessment, and the consultant's reasoning for that was to really identify what it is that I like and what it is I want out of life, because he believed that that's the best way to determine the best fit as far as a franchise goes. Right. And one of the industries that I selected was pest control. So when he saw that, he said, well, was that a mistake, number one? And I said, no, it was not. It was very intentional. He said, well, please explain. And I explained to him that I had a family member, a cousin living with me, this was about probably 12 years ago. And I wasn't at home at the time, but she reached out to me and she stated that she saw a mouse, which I refer to as a monster. And I said, you saw that where? And she said, in your kitchen. And I said, absolutely not. That's impossible. And she said, no, I'm pretty sure. So aside from selling the house because I'm afraid, I did keep the house. But I became obsessed with trying to figure out how to eliminate that.
Yes.
Because I had not had that had to deal with that before. And because I know that the person that figures out how to eliminate pests that don't necessarily add or are necessary for our ecosystem is going to be a quadruple millionaire.
Right.
So that was the reasoning behind the pest control.
Oh, very interesting. So you owe all of this to that mouse.
I do, the monster. Yes, I do.
The monster.
Yes.
I love it. All right. So mosquito hunters. And what year, by the way, did you end up coming into mosquito hunters?
2020.
Yeah. And so we're going to chat about that as well. But so mosquito hunters, kind of understand what it is from the name, but tell the audience what exactly this franchise is all about.
Sure. We provide barrier treatments for both residential and commercial areas to dramatically reduce the population of mosquitoes, ticks, and fleas. And the reason why that becomes important is not only because you want to be able to enjoy your time outside, but ticks and mosquitoes specifically are the primary cause of several deadly diseases. So it's important from a community perspective to keep the community healthy, and then also, again, it adds to the quality of life when you're outside.
Yeah, and it is, and especially you got started in 2020. Where was everyone?
In the
They
house.
were home.
Yes.
And then suddenly they were experiencing their backyards for the first time. And I live in Jersey, and New Jersey is, that's our state bird sometimes. It can be, the mosquito there. So they're outside and they're like, oh, I can't be out here because the mosquitoes, they just, eat you alive. So you are a sucker for stress, though, because you come into this in 2020, right? And you got married also during this time, right?
Right before. So I was gearing up my husband and I were gearing up to enter into the franchise. We went to training at their headquarters in Chicago.
And what month is this now?
That was the end of February.
February
of 2020.
2020.
Yes.
Okay.
There are different trainings that we need to complete in order to be licensed in Pennsylvania. Took the first exam, because there are three that you need to take. We took the first exam. Okay, great, we're getting all excited, moving forward. And then the testing center for my second test closes down March 16th. And I think, like the rest of the world, we're like, 2 weeks, this will all be figured out. And that was not the case.
Not the case.
At all.
No. So you're dealing with trying to get on board a brand new business, right? Everything gets shut down. And then also, because life is life, the state of Pennsylvania shuts down, and you need to get your licensing in order to get your franchise up and running.
Correct.
Because springtime is right around the corner, and you can't get your license.
No, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do. You have the ability to go and take the exams, but you just are not able to do so because the state is closed. And once the state began to reopen, testing centers became available the middle of June. And I had to drive 3 hours one way because Philadelphia was not yet open. So I had to drive 3 hours one way to Williamsport, PA, to take the test, and 3 hours back. And luckily I passed.
Thank goodness. And what month is that now?
That was June. I was able to schedule when they first reopened in June.
So you had to wait a couple months.
I did, because the process for the state to issue the licenses was, of course, backed up because they had not been open. So the license did not come until August of 2020, which is the end of the season. But went out there, did what I could, acquired the customers that I could. We acquired 20 customers in 2020, but just to put a caveat out there, that was without any type of promotion because we knew that we were behind, we couldn't hire a team. So it was basically just what we could do with what we had at the time.
And you physically were wearing the
Yes.
pack. You
Yes.
suited up,
Suited up.
and you were like, I'm going out there, I'm going to go get those mosquitoes.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I wish that we had the picture. I should have asked for that.
I
So
know.
I could
Oh,
have
I
had the
wasn't-
picture for that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so you were out there, and this audience is exactly why I do this show, because I want to instill that this is business ownership at its finest. You know, Chyvonne is not meant to be the technician in her business. That's not the model. The model is that you're the executive
Yes.
operator, you're hiring the technicians, they're running around, they're going and doing this, but because of everything and the way that it was, you had to suit up and you had to go make this happen.
Absolutely.
And you're still standing today. So there you go, right? So that's the whole moral of this. But such and so stressful, newly married.
Yes.
Right? Your husband also lost his job at the time, correct?
And got COVID.
And caught COVID, right? So, yeah. So you can't ask for more to be piled on here. And yet you still endured. He was helping in the business as well, correct?
Correct.
So you're still married.
Yes. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Right? Because, I mean, marriage is stressful to begin
It
with,
is.
especially being newly married and to have all this added on to you.
It was a lot.
Could you have ever have thought that this is where your life was going to lead? But man,
Never.
how much have you learned, and how much has it sat there and given you so much more strength and just the fortitude to say, I am making my business run, and that's full stop, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So how has business been? All right, so now that was August 2020, you missed the season. So walk us through 2021. How was the year for you then?
Interesting. So for 2021, we were excited. That was our official first year in light of 2020, not happening. And we start, so as a franchise, one of the strategies to increase awareness is what we call ground game. So ground game is what we really focus on, and it's a priority in order to be able to, attract people to the service. A part of that ground game is to distribute door hangers. And we started to get resources to be able to help with that. And then we realized that we could not hire help in the form of a technician because in the state of Pennsylvania, you have to have your license as a commercial pesticide applicator for a year prior to being able to train anyone to bring onto the team. And quite honestly, we knew that rule up front, but I just thought that there would be an exception made in light of the shutdown, in light of everything. And that was not the case. And I spoke with a representative with the PA Department of Agriculture, and they said no, unfortunately that's still the rule. So that now puts me in August of 2020 before I can hire any technicians because I can't train anybody.
2021, right, August 2021.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So here we go again, whole season, I'm not gonna have help. So it's again, just my husband and I. And that was tough because I now have been putting more time into the salon. So clients there, the book is building there.
Right.
And now I need to be out spraying yards.
Right.
And it was a lot. It was stressful. I wasn't sure if we were gonna make it. It was a lot. But what I had to do is I sat down, I looked at the days that I could just completely block out for the salon. Not that I wanted to, because that was something that's already up and running, Right. So I don't necessarily want to have to block out time, but I didn't have a choice. So I blocked out a couple of days where we dedicated to be out spraying, and that equated to about 30 customers a week, so we were able to do about 100 customers for the summer. But that was capping it at 100. Had we continued the ground game, I'm pretty sure we would have been able to have a larger number of customers, but we just had, it's only 24 hours in a day.
Right, correct. Okay, so We're going to come back on the other side and talk about 2022 and mosquito hunters, and stay tuned for a word from our sponsors.
Guess what it is? It's Mount Laurel, New Jersey. It's RVN Television, and you know that it's time for morning coffee.
We love our new home. Lots of windows, great light.
But the birds. They're back.
Yes, I hear them.
Uh-oh. Why are these birds so angry?
At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
We save a lot.
I'm going. Ah!
Hurry!
I know.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Welcome. I'm Barry Lefkowitz. I'm your host on New Perspectives on RVN TV. I come to you each week with issues and topics that you will generally find in the news. And if you're looking to be able to get caught up and know what's going on, then New Perspectives is the show for you on RVN TV. Look forward to having you.
Welcome back to Franchise Focus. I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski, and sitting with me in studio is Chyvonne, Shackelford-Bacon. Such a great name, Chyvonne. And we were talking about the woes of 2020 and 2021, and woe is putting it mildly. And now we're in 2022, and I just want to emphasize the fact that mosquito hunters is a seasonal operation, right? So you go, well, what am I doing for income during the rest of the year if I'm looking at this? And Chyvonne, you picked this specifically because you do work in your sister's spa salon in Philadelphia. By the way, what's the name of the spa salon?
Third Element Spa and Salon.
All right, what's your sister's name?
Tamika Branch.
All right, Tamika, we're shouting out to you. So you needed time to be able to work in Tamika's spa salon, and then you had this set up seasonally so that you could work with mosquito hunters, which works very nicely for everyone. So now you're in 2022 rather. You are now focused on gearing up for this season.
Correct.
And we've got a labor shortage. So yet again, things are not going as easily as what you would hope for, right? But you are still smiling.
Yes.
So I noticed that. You are always positive. I network with Chyvonne. She's always got a super positive mode about her, which I think is fabulous. But this is stressful.
Yes.
So talk about what are your needs labor-wise. So let's try and get Chyvonne some help for her crew.
Awesome. That makes me excited.
All right.
So field technicians and primarily marketing interns. So those are the two positions currently that we are looking to source. The field technician position is actually an individual that will be out in the field performing the barrier treatments for the customers at their properties. And marketing interns, as I mentioned earlier, the ground game is a big function from an advertising perspective. So we need help. The goal is to get out at minimum 10,000 door hangers each season. So that, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are physically walking around and you're like, oh wow, I can't do 10,000 of these. I need help. So all the marketing interns will be helpful in that capacity, as well as when we participate in community events. The marketing interns help us with that also.
Okay, and how can people reach out? Do you have posts on Indeed? What are you doing for getting these jobs out there to the community?
Yes. So Career Plug is definitely our main posting site currently. We will be posting on Indeed to expand the visibility of the position. So Career Plug and Indeed, and then I actually was put in contact with a gentleman that works with veterans and the Veterans Affairs Association in Pennsylvania, and we've also begun to circulate the job posting for the field technician with the Veterans Affairs group.
Excellent. All right. And we're going to put your contact information up at
Yes.
the end of the show so that people can email you or call you as they need. So labor issues, big issue, big problem. And you need to get these technicians because now you have that license. Now you can have your whole big team and you need people to be running around and going and doing the spraying so that you can be in the back end doing what you need to be doing, which is growing your business, correct? And now your husband, who had lost his job during the pandemic, so yeah, stress. He's working with you now.
Yes.
Right? He's all in.
Yes.
Whether he wanted to be or not, he's
Right.
all in. And what's his name, by the way?
Chyvonne.
So Kevin Bacon, we are thanking you for the fact that you had no idea this is what you were going to be doing, right? So Kevin's out there full time. What is he doing? What's his main role?
Currently to perform the sprays. So what his role will be once we do get some more members on the team is he's that technician supervisor because he's, he knows the equipment in and out, he knows the process, he knows the correct proportions of the products to mix together. He has that down. So that is his area of expertise. So as we bring on field technicians, he'll be that go-to person for the team.
Okay, and you're in the greater Philadelphia area. That's the major area. You're covering Mount Airy and Horsham and Willow Grove and Glenside, Fort Washington, et cetera, et cetera. I assume you have a wrap van, mosquito hunter van that you're running around with, right?
That
so
is
you've
true.
got that, which is a great marketing vehicle as well. Do you ever get stopped when you're in the vehicle and people are like, tell me about this?
Yeah. So we take it to the grocery store because, like you said, it's the best advertising you can get, really. Right. And we come out and we'll see people standing at the van. And at first it was a little creepy. We just had to get used to it. We realized, like, oh no, they're just here for information because typically they're getting the number off of the van to be able to call and get more information. And once we got past the creepiness of it, now we understand. And we're like, hi, how you doing? How can we help you? Can we answer any questions that you may have? So now it's fine.
All right, that's funny. But yes, it is. The wrap vehicle is a moving billboard that's going all around the community, and along with lawn signs, along with the door hangers, all of this different marketing that the franchise really insists upon because it's drawing eyes. And we were just talking about that when one neighbor puts out a lawn sign, everyone else falls in line because it just saved them from having to sit there and go make the call and do the research and figure out who to go. And they've already been in that neighborhood. I know I do that for my neighborhood. I'll say, hey, I'm gonna have this work done. Does anyone else want to come in with me?
Absolutely.
And maybe we can work out some kind of negotiated thing with the contractor. So I'm sure that would be something that you would be delighted for, right?
Yes, and we do offer neighborhood deals. So when we have a group of neighbors that are interested in enrolling in the services, we do offer them a discount.
Okay, all right. And, one of the concerns is, that we hear about often, the bee population is very concernable for the environment. And in fact, there's supposed to be this No Mow May. Did you hear about that?
I did.
The big movement. Anyway, don't mow your lawns so that the bees can do their pollinating. So how do you address that concern with your customers about, we're only going after the mosquitoes. We're not going after the other things that are very needed in the environment. I'm sure you get that all the time.
Yes, and it's a valid question. The great thing is that the PA Department of Agriculture, the training that is required to obtain a license, it specifically states the steps that should be followed in order to protect bees. And specifically, what happens is when a barrier treatment is being performed, the areas that contain flowering plants, so anything that has a petal on it, a rose bush, anything that has any type of petal is an area that we do not treat. And the reason being is because the bees, that's where bees are going to populate in order to pollinate.
Okay.
So we do not treat any type of those, we don't treat any of those type of areas, as well as typically the grass is not something that we treat simply because mosquitoes are not going to be in the grass. That's not where they rest, that's not where they hide. So the only time when we will treat grass is if a customer has a, you know, flea or a tick add-on, and even then it's not the entire grass. It's those shaded areas where the ticks and fleas like to hide because they don't like the sun, and neither do mosquitoes. I don't know if anyone knew that. Interesting fact, but no, that's why their highest activity is at dusk and dawn, because they don't like the intense summer heat. They like to stay cool.
Interesting. Did not know that. So if you're out in the sun, then you shouldn't be dealing with too many mosquitoes.
There are a few species that will still be active during that time, but mostly not.
Okay. Huh, that's very interesting. So you've learned a lot, I'm sure,
have.
during all of this. And you just said that you just did a training yesterday. What was that training?
Yes, so the training yesterday was actually more from a sales perspective, just because as franchise owners, you know, we're regular people. We don't have sales degrees, but we have to figure it out. So that was more sales centric,
Oriented, right.
yes, than it was the actual technical portion of it.
And the system has been very good to you in providing everything that you do need to get your business up and running.
Correct.
Had you not had all of these pitfalls and obstacles, everything that they've done for you has been significant help for you?
Absolutely. The structure of the central team is great. There's a marketing function that provides us with artwork when we want to. They provide general artwork that each franchisee can use, but they will also do specific artwork for you and your region. We have franchise business advisors that are available to us at any time to bump questions off of. They have technical managers that are helpful when you do have questions around licensing, because every state is different, and there are franchisees all over, of course. So the structure has been very helpful. It has been very supportive. And without that, yeah, it could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming with it, but
Right, but even more so, it's giving you all those layers to help you be successful. So I'm glad that we're ending on a positive note after hearing so much of the trials and tribulations that have happened to you and to Kevin during all of this, right? It's been very difficult, but I am so grateful that you came on the show to share what this is like, because it's important for people to hear what business ownership in a franchise space is like, and because you're making that big decision. So I thank you for sharing that story with us. I wish you continued success. We're going to put your contact information up on the screen so that everyone can reach out to you and go have those mosquitoes hunted so that they can hang out in their yards and enjoy their living spaces a little bit more. And thank you, audience, for tuning in to Franchise Focus. This show runs every Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I'm your host, Lisa Linkowski. I am the owner of Milestone Franchising. I'm a certified franchise consultant. And you can learn more about me at milestonefranchising.com. Thanks for tuning in.